Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the DJ Sessions Presents the Virtual Sessions. I'm your host, Darren, and right now I'm in the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington. And on the other side, right over there, we have Starya coming in. Starya, where are you coming in from today?
Los Angeles.
LA. Great. We're on the same time, Pacific time. It's always fun meeting West Coast people. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know the show was a little bit delayed today, but business ensued, and I do want to apologize to all your fans out there, probably waiting to see the interview happen, and also the DJ Sessions fans. But I want to give a shout out to is it Pork You Piglet?
Piglet.
Piglet's there, and chilling in the stream because we're using a new technology, Restream, to rebroadcast to your Twitch channel as well. So again, thank you all for being here today. We're super excited to do this interview with you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So diving right into things, you've been quite busy over the last few months. You recently just did a rebrand, and can you tell us a little bit about that rebrand or changing why Starya was born? I guess we could start with that.
Yeah, I used to go under Tough Ghost. So since I started DJing full time in 2016, and I just kind of started out, I was always on a mission to produce my own music. But I wasn't very good at it yet because I still had a job and didn't have much time. So I quit my job to produce and DJ, and mostly to learn how to produce. So I spent then like the next 5 years or so, 4 or 5 years, basically learning how to produce. And the whole time I just kind of DJed under the name that I had as my Instagram handle, which was Tough Ghosts, which was just this song that I liked in high school by a band called the Unicorns, which I really love, this band called the Unicorns. Anyways, kind of how we would pick our like Instagram handles, and it was just an afterthought. So it was time, it was time to change it. I wanted to be like sounding more like an artist, like a person. Tough Ghost just sounds like, I don't know, a DJ. It was never really intentional,
I've never been a DJ, but I play one on live streams. It's kind of an inside joke. And so my DJ name is The DJ Sessions.
Okay. Okay.
I would never know what to call myself if I was a DJ. I mean, I've been doing this show for years, been in the nightlife scene for 30 years of my life, but never decided to DJ. But it can be difficult picking a name or a brand that's going to represent you. And that's going to be the thing that's going to represent you for the next 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years, why Starya?
It's scary, and I try not to think about that part. It's forever. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I wanted something that was very direct and that like was simple. So like one word preferably. And something that really like put an image in people's brains. I think a lot about like, how people perceive each other and how they perceive different, like with names especially. And I think that if you can just immediately put something in someone's brain, then that helps with the branding overall.
Hmm.
And I love, like, the universe and stuff. I feel like there's a lot that, I wanted to be inspired by it too, and I was never inspired by the name Tough Ghost, like, visually, you know? Like, I don't really think it matters what your name is as a artist, like, as long as the music is there, I think that's the most important part, but but I think it's also important for it to inspire you as the creator, um so I wanted something that made me, like, want to do photo shoots with cool lighting and stuff, and I just came up with that.
You know, it's funny. I just remembered. I think I remember coming across something, and it is true. I just looked it up online. There is a DJ that goes by DJ No Name,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's um, well, that's awesome. That's kind of your origin story, and a lot of people want to know more. Just like I just had a question pop into the chat room right now. Could you tell us more about your artist name and where does that come from? I don't. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay on the stream going out, so they may not have just heard what we were talking about. It's going to come through for them. Kind of cool. But you're releasing singles. You've released a couple singles so far. Your late or one that was just released back in June, "The Garden," and tell us a little about the what was behind the making of "The Garden."
So these first 2 singles is funny because I didn't have like, I had been making music for my whole life, but there was a period of time, before I released these that I had no music out there because I had just rebranded and, like, it just felt super weird, but they're like they're my first songs, even though I've made so many before then. Um, but these 2 singles, they're kind of like this little batch of singles that I made basically just during the pandemic, and
Mhm.
um, I definitely went into, like, production boot camp, I kind of think of it as, because there was so much time to just work and no distractions, and I also started streaming on Twitch and streaming my production on Twitch, and that really helped focus me and, like, be able to sit down for, like, 10 hours at a time, whereas before, I would get distracted, and I think a lot of people go through this, a lot of producers where it's hard to, like, stay in the chair for 10 hours, like, you're checking your email, you're looking at Instagram, you're going for a walk or whatever, but streaming really helped me to, like, just stay there and be, like, working for a very long time, and so I think of it as, like, my production boot camp where I finally was able to reach a point with my music where I was like, this is, like, the beginning of what I actually wanna make. Does that
Mhm.
make sense? Like, which is, like, dance music that could be energetic and has my vocals and that I'm proud of, and, like, before that, I was just kind of experimenting with all these different things, with music production, and so they're very special to me, these songs, like, they're definitely still I still think I have a lot more to go and, a lot more to learn and improve, but, like, they're very special to me in that they were like my buddies during the pandemic, like, these were the first songs that I've finished, I feel like, and it's really, like it goes along with the new name because it's really just where I wanna be, so, yeah, those kind of went hand in hand, and I was experimenting with, like, simplicity with vocals and, yeah, a lot of simplicity. They're both pretty simple concepts.
And I was listening to Manipulator right before the interview. I like to do that with the artists to get me a little jazz that let me, feel their music right before I chat with them. And I loved it. I thought it was great. And that one just came out like 6 days ago, right?
That one was on the
Or
1st, I think, of
oh, the
July.
first. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going by SoundCloud and it said 6 days ago. Maybe it got uploaded to SoundCloud 6 days ago.
I might have slacked on that part. I
That's
don't know.
okay. And again, what the you said these songs were kind of your friends. What was the thought process behind Manipulator? Do you go in with kind of an overall theme, or are these just like your creation process? Like, I'm thinking of this in my life right now, and this song represents that and that's the title it's going to get, or is it the song is made and then later the title gets put on?
I actually don't remember the title, like, how that came about. Like, I can't remember if it might have started out with completely different lyrics, and I don't really know why I called it Manipulator, but then I turned it became this song where it's like the voice of God telling you what to do, and it's like, specific dance moves. And then I guess the name just felt like it worked because it was like you're being manipulated to do the dance, and and that's all the song is, it's just, like, a few dance moves, and I really hope that people learn them and do them with me.
I just had a friend of mine who's a friend of mine whose mom called me up and she goes, "Oh my gosh, Darren, you won't believe it. My daughter just went viral on TikTok, and she had like 3.5 million views
Wow.
for doing this little. She did this dance thing, and then she did this dance. I haven't seen it yet because unfortunately, for some reason, her TikTok account got shut down because it got reported that she was under the age of 13, which she's not. She's like 22 years old. So I don't know what happened there. So I wish I could see it and I wish I know what it is. But yeah, I guess she was doing this little dance with like put a glass of water on her head and then doing this dance and set a trend and it all picked up. And she's like, I want credit for that because I started that trend, you know? Is
Yeah.
that something that you're trying to possibly do with creating your dance moves that people will pick up on and get into TikTok? Are you into social media? I guess is the question. And if so, are you into TikTok?
I love TikTok, honestly, and I think that social media can be really fun if you just have fun with it, and so when I'm, like, in the mood to use it and to make stuff on it, then it can be super fun. But I think, like, my main kind of, like, North Star of what I care about focusing on is production and, like, making the songs, and so everything else kind of just, like, goes behind that. So yeah, I mean, I wanna make a dance on TikTok. There's, like, so many things, like, to do and to spend your energy on, but at the end of the day, like, I need to spend as much time as I can actually producing music because it takes so long. It's like for me, it's, like, the longest thing that it takes out of anything that I try to do, like, I could easily spend 100 hours on a song and still feel like it's not quite right, so, it's kind of just a headspace thing for me where, like, yeah, I love TikTok, I love making videos on TikTok, and I wanna make more of them, but I think at the end of the day, I'm more interested and more focused on what's the next song I'm gonna make, you know?
Yeah, recently I've been having this discussion with people over the last few weeks about social media and how it has actually changed the game. And there was two things I saw. There was it was a recent TikToker, and she's an artist. I can't remember her name, and she made a TikTok about her label wanting her to go do something outrageous or something that would go viral to help increase her sales. And her TikTok was actually counter that and saying, Mike Label wants me to do this. That's not my job. I shouldn't have to go do social. They should be marketing my album, not me trying to do, this. And she was like a counter punch to it. And a lot of artists kind of spoke out like, yeah, we shouldn't have to do our social media. It is part of the mix, and it's part of the new mix because 20 years ago, 10 years ago, it didn't really exist. I mean, MySpace was there. I don't know if you remember MySpace or not. Do people remember MySpace? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I remember MySpace.
There's some good music on MySpace. I remember just a few artists that were only on MySpace that I would go to their MySpace
Yeah.
page just to listen to their songs,
Yeah, and
and they're
so what I yeah, it was a week or two later, I came across an article and it was talking about, music production and what an artist used to do, and there was a pie chart, and it said, like it was 80% of the pie chart was production, shows, you know, you know, all about the art of making music. And then it showed a pie chart nowadays, it was 80% social media and 20% was left over for the time of putting everything together. It was just a very interesting dynamic. And I've talked with a lot of label owners, producers, and people that say, yeah, it's kind of a necessary thing nowadays to be out there on the socials doing stuff. And um, I tell my DJs that I work with all the time, they're like, how do I book gigs? How do I get out there? And I say, well, how are your socials doing? and how active are you on the socials? Because if you're going to go play a gig and you want to be booked out of state and you have 200 followers on Instagram and you're trying to get, $1,500 fee with Ryder or something like that to play in a state, when they can get 150 people that probably live in their hometown to DJ for, $150 and some guest list and some drink tickets, and they might have 1,000 or 2,000 followers in their local. How do you compare to that? I mean, you could be a great artist, but what's your online audience base like? What's your online reach like? And it's a very interesting thing to see that dynamic be such a qualifier now for artists to get booked. Um, and you mentioned you
Yeah.
you you do Twitch streaming as well. How long ago did you start your Twitch channel?
It was like I would say 2020 is when I really started streaming,
Hmm.
and I'm a little embarrassed because I feel like a lot of people, they start a Twitch channel and, they grow it and whatever, and I'm not as it's like the same thing about what I was saying about social media. It's like I do it as an afterthought. It's kind of like I wanna do it if it inspires me to do it, but it's not I don't really wanna make it about that. So I didn't really focus too hard on, like, growing the Twitch channel, because if you're growing the Twitch channel, you really have to stream a lot, and production streams aren't, like they're not the they're not really where it's at for viewers. Like, there's a few people that are really into production streams, but the DJ streams are probably more, like, lucrative in terms of viewers, and I love doing I have a 1-hour DJ stream that I do most days. I say that because I kinda took off this week because I was just kind of exhausted from the last couple weeks, and I just needed a break from everything. But I usually do it every weekday, but I just do it for an hour, and that just doesn't really get me very many followers, but I do it because it, like, helps me in my day, and I enjoy it, and then I do the production streams because it helps me focus. So, I only have, like I think I just got to 1,500 followers on on Twitch, but I did start in,
Congratulations.
like, 2020. So I have been streaming a ton. I just, I'm not, like, trying that hard.
In 2020, predominantly in March, April, and May of 2020, after doing a live streaming show for 10 years, I watched everyone that I knew in the industry jump online, and they were building their brand. And like, how do you get so many viewers? How do you get around copyright? How do you do this? All these questions were field, sent to me and calling. I mean, I think I stopped at about 147 people, individual people that had started reaching out to me because I was the live streaming guy. And I started realizing, I'm like, why don't you all just stream with me? I got everything handled, but they all want to do it with themselves. And I'm like, wait a second, I'm starting to give information to my competitors. That's okay. I mean, I've always been about a free flow of opening information, but what I love so much about that happening, not of what happened on the whole, that sucked, but what happened from a live streaming or online perspective is that I finally felt, how would I say, not, I want to use the word, I don't want to use the word justified or vindicated, but for so many years, I was trying to explain people that we're a live streaming DJ show on Twitch. And people would say, why would I want to watch a DJ live online?
Mm.
And I'd say, well, first of all, have you ever listened to the radio? Do you listen to music on your iPod? It's the same kind of thing. It's just a video. And
Yeah.
then they'd say, what's Twitch? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this company called YouTube that's owned by Google? Well, Twitch is this company that's pretty much ran by Amazon. And they go, oh, okay, so it must be a pretty big deal. And I'd be like, yes, it's a pretty big deal. Um, but it was just awesome to see everyone jump online and start embracing the platform as a whole. And yeah, it takes slow. It can be very slow to grow. You and I were just talking pre-show about why I have two Twitch channels, and I actually have four
4.
Twitch channels, and I'm gonna have 7 here soon,
Yeah.
and people are like, what are you doing? Why would you want 7 different channels? And it's like, well, one of them can be my music channel, one of them can be my interview channel, one of them can be XYZ channel. But we were also talking about how I'm using it with our silent disco technology, um, and putting that on the process, which I won't get into because that's a whole nother topic. But it's a fun one. and just getting out there and building an audience. I think it was even Dave Dresden when we came in and I started up using DJ Sessions 1. I'd put on there, I think we hit like 200 or something viewers. We made partner like, or not, I'm sorry, we made affiliate like right away in like the first 5 hours of streaming. And I put it on Facebook and I'm like, yeah, look at, wow, this is really cool. We did this. And Dave Dresden came in and said, well, with 20,000 plus followers on Twitch, you probably should do that right away. And I'm like, thanks, Dave. It's just trying to bust me a little bit. But it's very interesting because time of day can affect things. Other artists. That's what I saw. What happened when everyone jumped online in 2020? We actually took a step back. We were getting ready to go to the front page of Twitch again. And we're talking with our partner team over there and everything. And we're really excited. And then everything hit. And then everyone jumped online. So the music team, almost for me to try to get their ear over there was almost impossible because they're dealing with Insomniac. They're dealing with, AEG. They're dealing with all the major people, all the major companies coming online wanting to stream. Then all the major top celebrity DJs wanting to come and stream. And then everyone else in the world wanting to stream. So
Yeah.
I called it the 2020 up until about late 2020. I called that whole phase for about 6 to 8 months. The social media, look at me, I'm streaming, was almost every other post you would see online. And I'm like, if we're going to jump into this through all that clutter, you can't watch two shows at the same time. You can lurk in one, you can lurk in four, you can lurk, but you can't watch them. So I just kind of sat back and was like, I'm just going to let everyone stream, let everyone figure it out, because they're going to figure it out that, you know, I wasn't trying to be negative about it in any way, shape, or form, but I knew they might start to get disenfranchised because you can't have a person watching your stream and then watching another stream. I mean, you could, but they'd be lurking. They wouldn't be actively involved in your stream. So I think a lot of people did get disenfranchised. And in early 2020, I was saying, yes, we just saw a 60 to 80% rise in content creation. And we also saw a 60 to 80% rise in content consumption. But when things start opening back up, what's going to happen to those channels? What's going to happen when those people start going back on the road, back on tour? What's going to happen when people start going back out to nightclubs and concerts and events? They're not going to be glued to the computer. And I was saying that there might be some PTSD of, since there is so much online consumption, that people are going to say, I don't want to consume. I don't want to do stuff and watch online. I want to go play outside. I don't want to play inside anymore. But those that stuck with it and built the following, like yourself, you're going to build the following over time. And it just takes time to grow that. Something else that I saw, though, that was interesting on your Twitch stream when I was researching just a little bit, you just don't do music production. Are you a Fortnite player?
Oh my gosh, I love Fortnite. I'm just like really bad at it, but I love it. I
And
also like streaming. Me and my old roommate, my friend, we like to stream horror games sometimes. So
do
like
you?
Visage. Have you ever played Visage? It's pretty fun.
No, I haven't played Visage, but there is that one. I think it's the one where you can get killed, but not where you can get killed by a ghost, not paranormal. You probably know it better than I
Killed
do.
by
I've
a
seen
ghost.
what. Yeah, it's like you're running around. You can pick up tools. I think you can pick up a flashlight and you play it with other players, but then there's like a ghost that runs around, and if you get hit by the ghost, you get killed.
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I know this one. Chat? Does
Oh gosh,
anyone
I
know
should know this. I saw it
it?
years ago. Oh, please, out there in DJ Sessions lands, do not murder me for not knowing the name of this video game. I should know it. Um, but speaking on that nature, if you're talking about Fortnite, have you ever gone and watched a concert in Fortnite?
Oh, I did. I think did Travis Scott play in
Travis
yeah.
Scott?
I saw the Travis Scott one and that one was incredible. Like honestly, I really liked it.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
it's
it's definitely not gonna replace concerts, but it's definitely a fun activity.
I
Actually, when I was at the Tapman tailgate last weekend, I joined a Fortnite tournament and I was one of the regulators in the Fortnite tournament because I wasn't eligible as someone who had just played the event. And so they were like filming me and stuff and I think that people like got prizes for killing me. But I'm so bad at it that it was very easy for them to kill me. I don't think I killed a single person the whole time and I played like 5 rounds. but it was still really fun.
And and so we will talk about the Tapman tailgate in just a few moments. But one of the biggest things that I think there was 12 million people in that Travis Scott concert. I think that's one of the end result numbers. I'll look that up.
Probably, like, overall, because they ran it a bunch of times, and I
Oh,
think
okay.
with these video game servers, I'm pretty sure you can really only I don't know if they've updated the technology, but I think you can only have 100 people, like, in a, kind of battle royale situation at a time.
Yeah.
So they were doing, like, 100 at a time and then running it every 15 minutes or something like that. They might have updated it, but that's what I heard.
So apparently, Travis Scott's in-game Fortnite tour brought a record number of players online. Epic Games announced Friday that over 12.3 million. Hang on. 12.3 million concurrent players joined Scott's in-game concert.
Mm,
So they must have had different instances where it could be
bunch of
like 100 and
servers.
100 and 100 and 100 and 100. That's a lot of
Yeah.
instances. But I'm not sure how they set that up. But Marshmallow had 10.7 million players. Um, yeah, I was just the reason why what I'm segueing into here as have you looked to doing anything in VR in virtual reality? Have you ever played in a virtual reality nightclub or worked with anyone doing anything in virtual reality? Or,
My friends they used to do the Wave VR. I think the Wave VR is kind of pivoted now, but they had like it was basically a virtual nightclub that they built and people could come in. And I used to do a monthly party in LA at the shortstop called Your Mom's House Party. And one of my collaborators, who's an amazing DJ, Jen Lasher, she used to work with this company. And so we actually, at one of them, maybe one or two of the parties they came with the headsets. And then Jen had you have to, like, put on some stuff when you're DJing, but she was able to DJ at the party at the shortstop and at the same time be DJing in VR, and you could go into the corner of the nightclub and put on the headset, and you could look around and see her DJing in this virtual club space that they made, and you get to design it all and stuff. And then you could also see other people tuning in from wherever else. I think it was a HT they had a HTC Vive, that was the headsets. So yeah, I mean, I personally have not DJ'd. I mean, I did a few things during the pandemic. Do you know the company Production Club? I work with them a lot. They are the ones who produced the, Dot Party, the Dome a couple weekends ago.
mm-mm.
But during the pandemic, they did a couple, like, virtual spaces where they designed the whole virtual space and you could go in and, um, I did a couple of those, but nothing really, like, I don't really think anything in, like, real time, really. And I'm not really sure what you mean by, like, you're talking about virtual nightclubs. I'm curious to know more about what that is.
Yeah, we excuse me. We just launched our virtual nightclubs in alt space and we're getting ready to deploy in VR chat. We're talking about people doing something in Decentraland with a team there. They built a nightclub area where we're looking at using, ours are built. Obviously, you can go in via a laptop, but that's a 2D environment. But going in via your headset, which I'm building everything for the Oculus, so we can make sure we can deploy. And we're seeing the Oculus kind of being the first round easy. We're seeing it be the Atari or the Nintendo. Wow, I just dated myself. But of VR because the price point is only about $300 to get this headset. Then you can jump in and get into alt space and VR chat, these kind of things for free, or even Rec Room. There's a few other worlds that'll probably come up here soon. But yeah, we're looking at our VR nightclubs as a place where you know I see VR nightclubs being what websites were in 1995.
Hmm,
And right
okay.
before the dot com boom started happening in that mid 90s to late 90s, and everyone was like, get a dot com, and businesses that said, I don't need a website because people come into my business. I'm a brick and mortar. What do I need a website for? And then the businesses that got websites actually kind of still survived because people would go online and shop online and became obviously companies like Amazon became huge, with online business became huge. And so then all of a sudden you see the transition go from websites in the mid to late 90s. Put that 5 years forward, and we have a company coming out called MySpace, and we have YouTube, coming out. And then a few years later, obviously Facebook was in development at that time, but Facebook comes out, and then you see the whole social media boom come into play. And that's been running its gamut for a while. And we're seeing VR come out, and the major companies, the major players are playing this. You have, you know, um, Meta or Facebook creating goggles. You have HTC, like you just mentioned. The companies are coming out and making the headsets, but they're also, these companies are investing heavily in what's called augmented reality. Are you
Yeah.
familiar with AR?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so augmented reality is going to be huge because, like you said, that event that you played, instead of having the headsets and jumping into the virtual club, you're going to be able to put on just your glasses, and you're going to be able to have a virtual experience in the club itself. So you could be playing a show and the lighting and smoke and all that stuff's going. But then all of a sudden in the middle of the show, a banner could pop up and be like, here's my new album, buy this right now. They could click on it and boom, it's downloaded into their phone, ready to go. Or buy my merchandise and it's sent to your front door. Or you could have animals running around the room, and you could buy food and feed the animals running around the room, or floating through the sky. Or you could change the ceiling to a starry night if you wanted it to be that, or have pictures on the wall, and only people with AR could see different pictures on the wall. You could change the stage experience with AR. And we know Facebook's working on it. We know Apple is coming out with something. Hopefully we'll see them by October this year, maybe Q1 2023, but huge developments being made. And I always tell people, if you're not looking at doing something in VR and setting a foothold, or at least getting a branding spot somewhere, just make a little club, get your name in there. You're missing out on a huge opportunity to start building that following. Just like you said, you started Twitch, you've been doing it for a couple of years and you got 1,500 followers. Same thing goes in these like VR or alt space. You build your room there, and you can start getting people liking your room now. So when you start to build it later on, they're like, "Wow, I came back," and they can see the development process of your room changing over time, and
Yeah.
it's a huge branding experience for you because you can put links in there. You can pull out a browser. I mean, it's really cool what you can do from a branding standpoint, to say I'm in VR, and then you can bring your Twitch stream into VR, and people can watch your shows and watch your Twitch streams there, and you could kind of be there with an avatar and be chatting with them or doing what you're doing. There's a lot of, or you could have a record release party, and
Yeah.
the release party and have your music playing in the background at a certain time. But you could have like hors d'oeuvres and drinks set up. It's really cool what you can do in VR. I'd love to chat with you offline about it sometime and show you
Yeah,
what we
sign
have
me
going
up.
on.
I love it. I'm in.
Awesome. We'll definitely work on that. And you know, but as far as in real world events go, you've been doing some really really cool stuff. And when I say cool stuff, I mean not too long ago you were playing at the Coliseum. Tell us about that. I'm gonna let you tell our DJ Sessions fans about that, because you were telling me before show. But how was it like? What was it like playing at the Coliseum? And tell us about how you got involved with that and who you opened for.
Yeah, that party was insane. Just really one of a kind party, I would say. Um, we basically took a 200, it was the world's largest inflatable dome, 200 feet, and put it in the middle of the Coliseum in LA, which is like a football stadium, and projection mapped all over the inside of it. And Justice headlined, and Too Many DJs. And then Zed played as well. And I opened. I was actually second though, so I wasn't first opener. Brownies and Lemonade opened up the whole party, and that was cool because they brought all of their LA like party people to come in early and get the vibe going, which is like in LA you sometimes just need that, like you just, there's so many like industry people that just want to come and like stand around. You really need to get the hook on the LA party people if you're throwing a party in LA. And yeah, I played all original songs, and I really worked my ass off because Justice is like the beginning of everything for me, like EDM wise. I grew up in San Francisco, and I went to high school in San Francisco, going to shows, like seeing punk shows, seeing rock bands, like that was like my scene, like alternative rock music was like my scene. And then I saw Justice in 2007, and I think this happened to a lot of people. And this is where like the moment happened was they saw Justice play that their Cross album and heard that, and that just really opened up my mind to the possibilities of electronic music and that it could be really fucking great. Um, and yeah, that was just like a real aspirational moment right there. And Too Many DJs is amazing. Soulwax, incredible. And I spent a lot of time, when I was really growing my appreciation for electronic music, going to the hard events and seeing like all the Ed Banger DJs, seeing all the Bloghouse DJs, and that was just so it's just really a special moment to do that. And I got to play all originals, which was uh I was nervous, but it went well, and I even threw some guitar in, so
So
pretty
you part of your stage performance is not just electronic music; it's also throwing in instruments as well, live instruments.
That was like
Is that
I mean, it's mostly vocals. So
okay?
I'm kind of sticking to DJing and vocals right now. That's kind
Mhm.
of my main Starya thing. Because I want to play dance music. I want to make music that I can DJ, and I spent so long DJing and growing like appreciation for different like dance music artists and kind of deciding like what I wanted to play and really curating my sets to the point where I was like, okay, now I want to make music that I would choose to play, and before that I was kind of just making weird stuff that I don't think that as a DJ I would choose it, but I wanted to be like, okay, I'm going to play this Jamie XX song, I'm going to play this like Camel Fat song, and then I'm gonna play my song and it's gonna work, and that's like kind of been my goal. So, and I love to sing, so I sing and I DJ, but the guitar thing, I'm experimenting with it. I honestly don't think that it's good to put too much guitar in a DJ set. I like, unless that's like your thing, but I did like 20 seconds of guitar on this one song, sound checked the heck out of it, and it definitely took some effort to make it happen, but it was so cool because it was like a moment, like it was like, a cool like a cryo or pyro or whatever happening. When it happens, people are like, "Oh my god, what's happening?" But then you don't wanna put too much of it because that's just you're just, like, noodling on guitar over EDM, and who wants that? So, I had this, like, little perfect moment of a guitar, and then I was able to, like, do singing and playing my tracks that I produced, so it was great.
I think that is a phenomenal. That is awesome. I mean, it reminds one of our resident DJs, Avian Invasion. He does this in his shows and his live streams and his live stage shows. He actually plays the keytar over top of his songs. And it's funny because you can actually during his live Twitch streams, you can actually use points and activate his keytar. So he has to pick up the keytar and live do a keytar over top of whatever's playing, whatever song it is.
Oh my god,
And
amazing.
it's so awesome. So
Maybe I'll add that to mine with
yeah,
guitar.
I mean, no, I mean, adding music creation is it's up to what you want to do. And if you didn't get a chance to like test that out on small audiences before you did that, you just kind of said, I'm just going to throw this into my mix, right?
Well, I did practice a lot on the
Oh,
stream.
oh, in the
So
stream, but not in front of a live audience. I mean, there's
yeah,
no
I
way to.
don't like, did I play that live? I don't think I did do that was the first time, I think, that particular moment.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson 2246 says hi.
What's up, The Rock? Dwayne's one of my
I've never.
streamer friends. So is, Something Good. Something Good it was mentioning earlier when we were talking about Manipulator, they said, "I swear first time I was in this stream, you were working on that track," which is probably true, which is amazing that, like, some people, I feel like I've known them for, like, 2 years, like, they've been in my stream for 2 years. That's just so, like, cool. I love that so much.
Yeah, and now that you're out doing events, you mentioned earlier you played the Tapman tailgate. Let our DJ Sessions fans know a little bit about the Tapman tailgate.
That was super fun. I mean, I just love this whole video game world and video game streamer world, and it's just getting bigger and bigger, and, Tim the Tatman is, like, one of the biggest YouTube well, he actually started on Twitch, but now he's all fully YouTube gaming. He's, like, one of the biggest video game streamers, I think, in the world, and he just decided to throw a big party in Dallas at the Cowboys Ford Center, so, like, the headquarters for the Cowboys in Dallas, and, another stadium. So I think I was, like, laughing because I did 2 weekends ago, it was the stadium in LA, and then it was stadium in Dallas. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on my stadium tour. It's great." And so he booked, me and Artie and Kane Brown, and then there was a couple other people. I think there was a guy named Seth Drums who just basically had a drum set, and he was playing along to music, and that was fun. And then he had all these activities, like tailgate activities, like giant beer pong, and he had arcade stuff and just fun activities, and then a bunch of video game fans went, and then a few, like, other big streamers were there, like, I think Ninja, and I don't know all of their names, but I met a few of them, so now I know them more, but and they're all really nice, it was great, and all the fans are amazing, like, they all wanted to take pictures, and it was just, like, so much fun.
That sounds like a blast. We'll have to get, if you like video games, we'll have to get you up to Seattle sometime during Labor Day weekend because that's when PAX happens. Are you familiar with PAX?
Mhm. Yep.
And we do something really special for PAX. We take our mobile studio. I don't know if you went to our website and saw our mobile sessions
Oh,
episodes
cool.
where we have a big truck. I've had it for a number of years, but it's a mobile billboard truck, but I converted it to a live television streaming studio. It was one of the first kind in the world back in 2010. But now, because of technology, we're able to drive around and we put literally a concert grade sound system in the back of the truck and we drive around for, all
Oh,
weekend
I did
long
see a clip of this. Yes, I saw
for
this. Yeah.
yeah, and we just added flat screen. We just added video walls to it, and we now, I mean, we're super excited that things are obviously opening back up. And PAX, it's like 75,000 people a day for 4 days, are all over downtown Seattle, and we just drive around. We pick people up and put them in the back and let them dance around. Lots of cosplayers having fun and some really really cool stuff. And it's like what's so cool is I live 5 blocks away from the convention center, so I'm like right in the heart of downtown. But PAX has always been something awesome, and it's definitely a market that you know, video gamers, they love dancing, they love partying. People don't think that's like they sit back and,
Oh,
oh, I'm just
yeah.
playing video games all day. No, we're partiers. I'm a video game kid. I've been playing, like I said earlier in the interview, since the Atari 2600. Actually, we had a video game system before that we got from Radio Shack that was just Pong. And that was probably like 1978. Okay. Now I really just dated myself. Um,
Yeah, I
but
love video games.
video games are huge, and that's again going back to that VR AR conversation. A lot of people think that VR and AR, or just VR in general, is like my mom. She goes, "Oh, I don't want to play video games." I'm like, "Mom, there's so much more you can do in VR. You can go watch a movie in VR. You can go watch a concert in VR. You can meet with other people and have discussions. You can go to church in VR. You can, do so many. You can play some games in VR, and but it's not just the video game system anymore. And that's where we're seeing, I see the potential for VR to become huge, and especially with companies like Meta backing it. Microsoft's working on something. Google's working on something. Sony's working on something. I don't know if Nintendo's working on anything. I'm sure they should be working on something, but everyone's going to be getting into that market. It's going to be huge, 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 huge. So that sounds
Yeah.
like an awesome event. But you have an upcoming event in New York. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm playing it Elsewhere, which is just this amazing club in Brooklyn. I just love it so much. I actually have played there once before because I have a side project called Foxy Panic, and we actually went on tour with Miha. Do you know Miha?
Don't know Miha,
She's
not off the top of my
a
head.
awesome DJ, and she had, like, a live show that she was doing, and we actually went on it. We had a tour bus, and we did the whole thing. We had, like, a 30-day run that we were gonna do, but the problem with that was that it started on like March 1st of 2020. So I don't know if you know where this is going, but basically we did 2 weeks and then we had to go home because we were leaving like a trail of pandemic in the wake of our tour bus. But we were like, are we causing this or something? Like we'd leave a city and it would get shut down. Like the whole city would get shut down. And so we did manage to do our Elsewhere show, which was so much fun. And I was so happy we got to do that because it was like probably the biggest place we played to on the tour. Elsewhere is kind of like a super club. They have like a main room and then they have like multiple really cool like DJ rooms in different areas. And then they have a rooftop, which I actually never went to the rooftop. And they do in the summer, they do rooftop parties. And so I'm going to be up there with Viceroy and friends and playing some fun, vibey summer in New York dance music.
What's the date on that?
That's August 6th.
I'm just trying to make it again to trying to make it to New York for my birthday month again. I went there last year for my birthday, took a couple friends, and
When's your
saw one of
birthday?
our DJs open up for Lane 8 and Lay Youth, Lucy Tudor. And it was at the Brooklyn Mirage. And I had
Okay.
never been to the Brooklyn Mirage before. I was looking online about it, but I'm telling you, when you mentioned the word super club, and you mentioned Elsewhere. Now I want to go to Elsewhere. I want to go
Oh,
back to
yeah.
see the Brooklyn Mirage, but I want to go to Elsewhere now because I just fell in love with these bigger clubs. I've been to lots of places, but I've never been to these kind of super clubs or what you would call a super club, which is like 5,000 people in an outdoor event venue that can, I mean, just, it was so beautiful. It was run so well. I fell in love with the Brooklyn Mirage. I mean, just
Yeah.
fell in love. So it's what you're describing as Elsewhere. I think I'm going to fall in love with that too. And it's going to be a
Oh,
tough
yeah.
one to go, what?
I love these like clubs and there's like so many clubs in New York that you just kind of you're wandering around some random neighborhood and then suddenly you're like in this amazing venue at like 4 in the morning and it's
Yeah.
like LA just doesn't have that. Like we just don't have it. Like we have underground warehouse parties that are
Mhm.
never really in a venue and that's kind of a cool thing that you end up in, but in New York, there's actual, like, bars and venues that you feel like you're at the after hours, but it's an actual venue that is way cooler than, like, some terrible, gross warehouse. That's the LA thing to do,
No,
you
I
know?
mean, I heard, is it Sound Nightclub?
Yeah,
Is Sound?
sounds cool. Yeah, Sound is in Hollywood, and
I heard
that's a
Sound is supposed to be pretty cool. I was talking with the guys from Party Shirt. I think they were mentioning, I think Artie also mentioned Sound as well. It's one of those
Artie,
clubs.
did you talk to Artie?
Yeah, we interviewed him a couple months ago.
Oh,
He's really
yeah,
cool.
Artie's the
No,
best.
you want to know something really crazy? And Artie, please, if you watch this, don't get mad at me. For some reason, and I was in my production notes, I asked him about it, but completely forgot about it. He just was here a couple weeks ago under his Alpha 9.
Yes, Alvin
And
I.
I didn't click. It didn't click in my head that Alpha 9 was Artie. I was actually at the club. He was playing, and I left the next day and I said, "Hey, how come I didn't grab an interview with Alpha 9?" And somebody said to me, "You know that's Artie. You just had him on the show, Darren." I went, "What? What? I didn't even go say hi to him? Oh my gosh, that's crazy." And so I went back and go, "Did I know that?" And I went back and looked at my production notes for the interview notes, and of course I had mentioned side project Alpha 9, and I was like, "Duh." Yeah, he's such a cool cat. He was awesome to have on the show.
Yeah,
Really fun
he's
guy. And
great.
and speaking of
He
stuff to
played
do,
it he played at both of the things too. He played at the Tapman Tailgate and at the Coliseum as well,
yeah, you
so
met, and that's why I was
I
like,
played right before him at both events.
yeah,
It's
he
me and
was
Artie's stadium tour. It's great.
awesome. Question: does dance music sound better at night?
Uh, I would say it sounds better in a party environment. I think that there is some people that just love listening to it all the time, and I'm not one of those people. Like, I love it. Um, and I love the energy of it, and I love being at the party and being at the show, with dance music. Um, so I'd say sorta, yeah. But I also like a good day party, so I don't know if it's actually nighttime, I think it's just party time, you know?
After it wasn't until around 2017 I started throwing my own events, and that started in the ways of rooftop parties. and they would go from 6 to 10 p.m. And it wasn't that I was getting old and that I didn't want to stay out all night till 4 a.m. anymore. But I really found that I liked that vibe of that pre funk, early sunset vibe to kind of set the mood. And then when we started doing our silent disco, silent concert events, I would put those on and start those around noon and go from noon to 4. And I found that I really like doing those events because, while music can sound better at night, I found that I like listening to it during the day, but I also found there was a target audience. There was an audience for that of parents or older people that would like to come out and they'd like to listen to it and not have to stay out till 2 in the morning to
Oh,
hear the
yeah.
headliner or 1 in the morning and be up that late and possibly find a babysitter, and all that fun stuff. So people would come to our silent concert events or our rooftop parties and they say, I really like that you're putting something like this on because it gives me a chance to still see the local DJs that I would normally have to be out at 12 o'clock at night or 1 in the morning to see, but I'm seeing them at your events. And I kind of gravitated towards that model and like to start doing the day parties more than the night parties, just because of that. It's just, I believe it doesn't interrupt the overall flow. It adds to the aesthetic of the evening of going out or doing something during the day. And a lot of things that I like is when the parents come to me and they're like, now I can go out dancing to the music that I like and bring my kids along. And their
Yeah.
kids put on the headsets and they're running around like, this is cool. This is cool. And they're watching their kids run to the park and they're dancing to music and they're having fun. And then, I don't want to say as we're getting older, a huge, large function one sound system isn't that great on our ears, And I'm not saying loud music's great, but I mean, obviously get your earplugs, protect your hearing. But, some people, there is an audience for that daytime stuff to build. I think it's awesome just to provide events that isn't just all about nighttime. But, there is something I think that kind of gets you in the mood. I remember before I would go night clubbing, I would put on Crystal Method's Vegas album and just let that, like, it's okay. It's time to get ready to go to the nightclub. Doors open at 10. It's 8 o'clock. Vegas goes on. Now, this is like
Oh,
20
yeah.
years ago. And it's like, poof. And it's like just listening to that whole album build up and getting ready and psyched out for the night, and then being in the nightclub and being at night, was just awesome. And I started getting into festivals and stuff in 17. And I think that was one of the most magical experiences is watching a forest or watching a campground space turn into like a magical space at night.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
ever go to any night festival? Have you ever been to like Electric Forest or anything like that?
I
Or
have not been to Electric Forest. I really wanna go to Electric Forest, and I wanna go to Shambhala, and I
that's
love
happening
the
this
forest.
weekend, I believe.
I love the forest, and I actually just played this party that was, like, just incredible. There was only, like, 20 people at the party, but we drove, like, 10 hours. Me and my friend drove up there. I brought my CDJs. They had a sound system, and it was, like, a small group of friends that booked me to DJ after finding me at, this other show, and they hit me up, and they were like, "Come out to our forest party," and I was like, "Sure, I love the forest," and it was on the Yuba River, and the Yuba River is just an amazing river, California, Nevada border, basically. It's, like, my favorite river around. And they had this amazing private property that was like a mountain, and at the bottom of it was the river, but you had to like hike all the time throughout the party. And they had all these like little zones, and then they had like a little dance floor and a fire pit, and like had the CDJ set up, and it was just in the forest, and they had like lasers and like a laser machine, and they had a hot tub that they brought out. It was just like such a labor of love that these people put together. And then I was able to play some like fun dance music in the woods. It was like the best thing ever.
You
That was
know,
like my favorite thing.
what's so crazy? Sometimes on the show, people, I say this a lot of times, you'll see where I'm going with this, is that I don't submit my questions to the guests before they come on the show. But it's sometimes so weird that a guest like yourself, what you just did, will actually almost know what question I'm going to ask next. Because literally, here's the next question I was just going to ask you. If you were to play a party where only 20 people showed up for, would you finish your set and make it a hell of a party? Give an example. And you
Oh
just
yeah.
did. I mean, that's so
Would I
serendipitous.
finish my set? What do you mean? Would someone not finish their set because there's 20 people?
You
That's
know, you
good.
know,
Sometimes I DJ, there's one person on Twitch watching me and, like, that's it, and I'm like, "Whatever," like, you're not doing it for them. Like, if you're doing it for them, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So, of course, I would finish my set.
no, I thought more or less what was funny is that you had mentioned that the 20 people were there,
Oh, yeah.
and
I loved
it's
that.
like
You know what was great about that was that I then became friends with every single one of those people.
funny story that I'll share is I'll try to be quick about this. Is it's everyone always asks me what one of my most memorable moments are when I'm doing interviews on the DJ sessions, and I remember this one story. It involves a pretty prominent DJ by the name of Anthony Atala. I don't know if you know Anthony Atala, and pretty big in house scene. And anyways, one night I get this call. Somebody puts a post on Facebook saying, "Need DJ gear for an after party. If you can supply DJ gear, you can get in the after party for free." I'm like, all right, cool. I can do that. So I
Oh
show
my
up,
gosh.
set up my gear, and the after party the room only held maybe 35, 40 people. And it was at this little day spa, really cool place. And I'm sitting there and the night's going on. I'm kind of standing around. Well, this DJ comes in, he starts playing, and he is just slaying, just killing. I mean, it is just, I am dancing next to him. I'm like having a great time. This is awesome. Well, that weekend I had an interview booked. That was a Friday night. I had an interview booked with Anthony Atala on Sunday. So I go to this after party. I'm having fun. It was exactly what I needed in life at that time. So Saturday goes around. Sunday comes around. I'm at my studio, and all of a sudden, Anthony walks to the door, and we both stare at each other, and we look at each other, and we go, "Dude!" And he goes, "Dude!" I go, "No way!" I hadn't researched him yet. I didn't look at him and see what he looked like online, so I didn't have any idea who he was. And he goes, "You're the guy." I go, "You're the DJ from Friday night." He goes, "You're the guy who was dancing next to me all night long, man. You were having a great time."
Aw.
His next words that he said to me were, "Did you know that was me?" And I said, "I had no idea." He goes, "That was you were having such a blast. It was so awesome." And I was almost fanboying during that episode the whole time, going, "This is the oh my!" Because I was telling my friends on Saturday, "You won't believe this after party I went to, and this DJ I was there." It was just awesome. So, rocking it out. And this guy plays Groove Cruise. He plays in front of thousands of people all the time. But to be backstage, be right there next to him, and then have him come on the show a couple days later, it's like one of the most memorable moments I've had. It was just a very interesting weekend. So, yeah, I
Yeah, and
think
I think as a DJ, if you're playing to, like, 15 people and one of them is dancing their ass off, that is, like, so appreciated no matter how famous you are.
yeah,
You know, like, if you're seeing that energy, that's all you want as a DJ, so that's great.
totally. What would define success for you?
Oh, man. I mean, I already feel like successful just because I get to work on music every day, and, like, there was a time in my life where I never thought I could do that because I always was like, "Okay, I gotta have this job and do the thing and, like, get the payroll and whatever," and, like, quitting my job and, like, diving into that world was so scary because I didn't really have a plan. Like, I was working in events and in electronic music in LA, so I was able to see other people doing it and succeeding, and that inspired me and was like, "Well, if they can do it, I can do it." So so I think, like, to actually have it be working for this long is, like, that's to me a success, but I also would love to be in a position where, like, the opportunities just come to me a lot more, and I can just kind of, like, say no to things if I want to, and right now I'm like, "Okay, I'm getting opportunity, it's like I'm getting shows and it feels good," but I would love to get, like, an agent interested and be able to play festivals all over the world, If I got invited to play festivals all over the world, that to me is like my next milestone of success, I think.
Totally I can relate to that in so many ways because we just, you know, took on going out and becoming a little bit more international with our brand. Like I was telling you right before our interview why we were late. I can't give all the parameters or details of it. I can tell you off camera, but I can't tell you on camera what's going on. But looking to start traveling and going on tour, it would be like my dream as well would be to start going around the world to other events in other cities and doing live streams and doing interviews and being back on the ground again, because that's where we started, was originally on the ground, on the red carpet, or bringing people into our studio. This virtual thing is awesome, and I love it because it's let me connect with so many people from around the world now. Um, and but being back on the ground, or just being able to go and tour these amazing cities and see those awesome clubs like Elsewhere, like the Brooklyn Mirage, or be in Ibiza. And I'm finally starting to say that right now instead of Ibiza.
Ibiza.
Ibiza, or go to Tulum, or even go to Tokyo. I heard India
Mm,
has an amazing scene, or Dubai. I was just talking with somebody about Dubai and how much Dubai has blown up and expanded, and kind of going on the road and on tour. And I think I can relate to that being a success for you, that
yeah.
being
And I think that
requested.
you're definitely on your way there, so I'll see you there. I'll see you in Tokyo. I love Japan. It's my favorite place I've ever been in my life. It's, like,
Never been there before.
unbelievably cool. It's just
Like,
completely different than anywhere you've ever been. It's
yeah, and we're planning to go to ADE this year for the first time and be on the ground. I've never been to Europe, never been to Amsterdam. Well, obviously Amsterdam is Europe, but never been overseas there before. And so what's really crazy is that we started to um, Emery ES says, "Damn, you lucky ass travelers."
Emery, stop trolling us. Emery, you're rich. Go travel.
And I like that new, whoops, I brought that in. I got to hide that. Where did that go? I got to get that off. Oh, thank you for saying we're amazing. I appreciate that. I need to turn it off. How do I turn it off? This
Shout
is
out
why
to
you do
Vito
tech.
too.
This is why you do tech stuff before your show, and you're playing with new technologies. Emery says he's just jealous. It's all good. There we go. So, I've never traveled, so I had all these big plans to go travel and do ADE and have a studio at our Airbnb and make it all big, and I'm like, then this question comes to my mind and goes, what about jet lag? Have I ever dealt with jet lag before? I've never dealt with jet lag.
You
And
know,
here I
sometimes jet lag can help you out. For instance, I'm still in Dallas time. I've been waking up at 8 a.m. It's great. Like, I've been very productive. Well, actually, I've been completely not productive because I've decided to take a break. I'm on my rest days right now. This is probably the first productive thing I've actually done all week. But I keep waking up at 8 a.m. So
yeah, I've never been on a 16-hour flight. And somebody said that they told me in an interview, they said, when you get to Amsterdam, go find space cakes. And I'm like, what are space cakes? And they're like, just look them up online. They're all over Amsterdam. They were created in Amsterdam. They go, when you land, take a space cake, pass out, and wake up. You'll be totally fine.
wow.
They're cannabis infused edibles, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, stop in New York for a day. If you're on the West Coast, stop in New York for a day, and then you just have 2 5-hour flights basically to deal with to go to Europe. Japan is a little rough. Japan can be like a 12-hour flight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how to I don't just deal it's okay.
That would
Japan's
be cool.
worth
That
it.
that actually could be cool to do a layover. But I also heard that as I'm taking my girlfriend with me, she's being wonderful. She's being a production assistant and helping me out with this, and she's never been there before. It's going to be a really awesome trip. She said that whatever time it is there. So we landed, it's midnight. Treat it like it's midnight, or if you land and it's 8 a.m., just power through and treat it like it's 8 a.m. We haven't booked our flights yet because they just came online to start booking. But you just treat it like it is and then fall into the cycle that way. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm getting all this really cool advice, but I
Yeah,
never
I
thought about.
recently went to Ibiza, and because you go out at 1 in the morning, that's when
Yeah,
you leave to go out. I was basically staying up until, like, noon every day, and so when I came back, I was like, "I don't have jet lag because it's basically I've just basically stayed in my time zone this whole time."
yeah, that's going to be interesting. And with so much going on, what I didn't want to do when I got there was try to plan too much. So it's really been downgraded to, we are working on a pretty big partnership, but I hear that ADE is business during the day and party at night. But I realized I just downgraded our whole thing to, we're just going to get there. We're going to get to the Airbnb, and then we're just going to go explore and have fun,
Yeah.
because I don't want to overdo it too much, or overburden ourselves with too much and then be dealing with jet lag and all that fun stuff. So, that's It's going to be interesting to find that out. But yes, I definitely would want to see you on tour in other cities. I want to get out there. I wish I could make it out there for August 6th. That might actually be doable. That's just right around the corner. Gosh, where's this?
Yeah.
This year seems like it's been going so fast. Um, it's just awesome. But we're going to go step into production right now, talking a little bit about production. And if there is something you'd like to say to new and up and coming producers to watch out for when it comes to making their careers successful, what would that be?
Careers successful or production successful?
Um,
Because you said production and then you said careers.
I
There's,
did. Go ahead. Is there something you would like to say to new and up and coming producers to watch out for when it comes to making their career successful?
I don't know about watch out for. I would just say, just make sure you're doing it because you enjoy it, and stick to like what you want to do and not think about like becoming famous or whatever, because it takes a long time and it takes a lot of work. So you have to enjoy the work, and you have to be able to sit down and do it, and you have to be able to probably work harder than you've ever worked in your life, and probably harder than you ever thought that anyone should work in your life, in their lives.
Yes,
uh,
definitely, definitely.
yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of competition out there, and it takes a long time to actually create music that is really good, to get there. So
that was that. Yeah, patience. I think is the one thing that I've learned
yeah.
is something that's I've had to learn over 30 years of being in this industry, in this business, especially in the last 12 years of doing the show. And even I have a team of people that I work with now, but my guy that I work with, Luke from London, he works he's with the futuristic polar bears and helps do some international PR and outreach for me. And he goes, bro, you're just getting started. Even though I've been doing this for 10 years, where we're going at and launching, we're just getting started on launching that. And I have to kind of humble myself and go, but I've been doing this for 10 years, 12 years. What do you mean? I should be on top. It's like, no, you're just getting started. And still remembering that I have to be patient. It doesn't just come overnight.
Oh yeah.
Nothing just comes overnight. It's taken a long time to build all this and have it go. But I have a feeling you're going to be making it. You're going to be up there
Aw.
in the starlight.
Thank you. I do
Definitely.
want to say one advice, because you did mention production. As far
Yeah.
as production goes, try and get your structure of your song in the first possible thing you do. Like if you can do it the same day, then everything will be easier. Like if you can do that, that's something I wish that I tried to do like sooner. Get the structure in, okay? Do that. Don't just leave it as a beat.
Good production tip from Starya. Now I got a couple last questions here, and I'm wondering how bouncy are curly fries?
Are you talking about a tweet that I quoted? They're fun and bouncy. Probably the
What
bounciest things in the world.
I mean, were you out for lunch? Were you eating them? Were you making them at home? Or what was the inspiration behind that tweet? Can you
I
tell
think I
me
was in
something
a
about that?
group chat and my friend said it, and then I said, I'm gonna blatantly steal this as a tweet because it's a great tweet content, and then I tweeted it. And that's me being real honest about where that came from. But I do agree with it. They're very bouncy.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that insight because, you never know what the meaning is behind some people's social posts. A lot of people say that I vague book a lot online, and I have to because sometimes I'm under non disclosures and I can't tell anything until it's announced. So I've become the kind of people like, you're the king of vague booking. I'm like, no, there's real stuff going down. My internal team knows what's going on. I just can't talk about it because the contracts aren't signed yet.
Yeah.
But, I always want to know if people post something about curly fries, inquiring minds want to know. Are you a dipper by any chance? I need to dip my Jack in the Box curly fries have to be dipped in their ranch sauce.
Oh yeah, I love dipping. Dip everything.
Yeah.
Everything that can be dipped.
I go to McDonald's and I'm like, okay, give me tartar sauce, sweet and sour sauce, barbecue sauce, and the fire sauce for 4 chicken nuggets
Oh yeah. When I get chicken wings, it's blue cheese and ranch,
and ranch. Yeah.
And it both.
And both. Awesome. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. Is there anything else you want to let our DJ Sessions fans know about before we let you get back to work out there?
Just, stay tuned. Follow me.
And the best place to follow you would be at your website?
Yeah, I do Instagram, I do TikTok, I do Twitch. It's all I am Starya. So, it's all linked on my website, iamstarya.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the DJ sessions. I had a great time today. We're definitely going to be following up with you, with everyone. We always stay in touch with them every 6 months. We're just going to keep talking. And I know if there's something big hits, you're going to reach out to us because we're going to
I
love
love
talking
that.
to you and
Yeah,
following you
it's been
and what
great.
you're doing.
It's been
Awesome. Well,
great to meet you and chat.
Starya, thank you so much for coming on the DJ sessions. And by the way, out there, go check out her new single, The Garden, The Manipulator, both of them out there right now online, or website, I Am Starya. Fun times
Thank
again on the
you.
DJ sessions. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's been
You're
a
welcome.
pleasure.
On that note, don't forget to go to our website, thedjsessions.com. Find us on TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Meta, wherever you want to, but our website, thedjsessions.com. Also, check us out. We just launched our new Roku, Amazon Fire, and Google Play channels, and Apple TV will be coming soon. That's Starya coming in from Los Angeles, California, and I'm Darren coming in from the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington for the virtual sessions. And remember, on the DJ sessions, the music never stops.
Yeah.